About 61% of the budget goes towards public safety, police and firefighter spending. City of San Antonio is facing a deficit. What are your thoughts? Are you going to increase spending? Are you going to keep the same or decrease it?
Yeah. I come at this two ways. One, a budget is always kind of a moral document, right? What are our values? What do we think we need to? What do we owe the people? I think we owe the people two really important things. One, we've got to keep them safe, right? So we've got to make sure our first responders have the resources they need to keep our community safe. Secondly, I think it's also really important that we understand the full ramifications of any changes, right? So we'd really want to look at the data and understand what are the potential risks in the short term and in the long term, so we can share those with the community and make sure everyone understands what's going on.
Got it. So you don't know yet if you're going to increase it, decrease it, keep it the same. We need to look at the data first. Is that what you're saying? We
need to absolutely always be guided by the data, and especially as we look at a challenging environment, in particular for our seniors. Many people on fixed income, for example. So we've got to look at the whole gamut. And I would also start in particular with our auditors. I'd really want to understand where we might have some efficiencies that we haven't already gained, and then certainly work with the city staff and the city manager to understand, as we look across the 30 some odd departments, are there some other efficiencies that we might be able to implement?
Got it. And then we'll move on to, as you said, don't really know yet. Increase, decrease, keep it the same, have to communicate with community members, especially SAPD and the fire department. With the city facing higher crime levels, I guess you kind of already answered it. It's important to fight crime, and you'll be looking into it. But for other departments, like the Housing and Services, Neighborhood and Housing Services Department that build affordable housing, are you looking at increasing, keeping it the same, or decreasing for that department?
I think when we look, and certainly again because of the fiscal uncertainty, we've really got to take a hard look across the board, right? And make sure that we're minimizing long-term risks and making smart investments always, right? So I think there's a number of departments where we could have this very thoughtful discussion and really dig down into the numbers and help us realize where there might be some efficiencies.
Got it. All right. And then I will move on, if that's okay, to the other questions. So what are your thoughts on the SAPD acquisition of new technology, and how are you going to make sure that they can acquire it?
Yeah, well, as the former Undersecretary of the Air Force, I know it's always important that we are leveraging, smart technology to ensure certainly that we can do the missions that we need to do, and our all of our first responders need to have the resources to be able to accomplish those missions. So I'd want to make sure our folks are always adequately trained. They had the most up-to-date technology that keeps our community safe and keeps them safe. And allows us to be much more efficient as we are, again, entering a very uncertain fiscal environment. As much efficiency and effectiveness as we can achieve is what we should be after.
Got it. And you mentioned your military background. How do you plan on using it to reduce crime? You mentioned being, the background in the Air Force. Do you guys, besides just technology, is there other things that, the military uses that could help reduce crime?
Well, I think in general, right, like as a leader, you're always looking at those things that are also affecting people's quality of life. And I think, much of some of the challenges that people sometimes experience in our community is because of, really stressful economic environments, right? Pocketbook issues. For example, I'm very concerned about, some of our seniors that are on fixed income, and some of the challenges that they are facing and contemplating, given what's happening at the federal level, which is why, again, I want to make sure when we look through that budget, we are really prioritizing, again, these things that are important to communities that don't have a lot of options, right? I've been to the senior center on the north side. It's a wonderful resource for our community, and those are the types of things that I think we really want to prioritize as we're making investment decisions.
Got it. And you're talking about seniors. Seniors, how do they correlate with crime in SAPD?
Well, we want to
in San Antonio.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm very concerned about, and I'd welcome working and not only with SAPD, but with other experts on this, financial crimes. We unfortunately know that our seniors are often the target of online fraud and scams and abuse. So we've got, a wonderful cyber resource with UTSA, and I think really being thoughtful about how we can protect our seniors is something I'd be focused on. There's a huge theft there, and it's really unfortunate that our seniors are being targeted online when many of them, again, are living on their retirement. My mom is on her own TRS, so I know it's really important. We're doing everything to protect that community that has given so much. Got it.
And then just to kind of clarify with the senior issue, we still don't know if you want to increase, decrease spending in security or in any other department yet, but that is a priority for you, is making sure that seniors are safe, either using like the SAPD or other departments that help with community things, like you mentioned earlier, having a community center, right? That's what you were saying.
Absolutely. I think however best we can meet the needs of, and certainly our aging population, as also, many in our community, they not only do they have kids, but they also have their parents living with them. And so as much as we can think about keeping families secure, as well as those, again, our seniors that are on fixed income, our seniors that really rely on things like the senior centers all throughout our community, making sure that those resources are there so that our most vulnerable are taken care of during this very challenging economic environment.
Got it. And made sure that they're safe.
That's right.
Got it. Okay. And then the last question, communication with disabled individuals was brought up during the debate. We contacted the fire department. They told us that they have sign language professionals that help communicate with people who have these disabilities. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think this is a really important piece, just because I hear firsthand. Actually, we were actually at a deaf forum on the east side a couple of weeks ago, and we're able to hear firsthand from the deaf community about their challenges. Everything from frankly finding affordable housing that can accommodate their unique needs to some of the challenges that they've had engaging with first responders. And again, not because the first responder wasn't trying to best help that individual, but I think it sounded like from the deaf person's perspective, for example, there was a disconnect in how best to reach out or engage in that instance. And so, look, we always want to make sure the first responder is safe, the person that they're serving is safe, and certainly we consider all of our community members as part of that. So how can we be more thoughtful and more inclusive? It certainly comes to the deaf community or other individuals in our disabled community. I think that's always important. That's an important aspect. That's what a leader always does.
Got it. And then lastly, do you have any other comments on public safety in San Antonio?
One of the things, and I have had really good discussions with the fire union and with the police union, and I have conveyed very strongly, my experience as a senior leader at the Pentagon and my focus on readiness. Right? This isn't just, hey, do you have enough trucks? Do you have enough people? No. Do the people, are they trained? Do they have what they need to be successful? Are they happy? Right? What is quality of life like here? One of the challenges I'm very concerned with, in particular with our firefighters, is it sounds like we are able to recruit people here, but we lose folks kind of at that mid-level, right? As we pay to train them, they work here a little bit, and they're recruited elsewhere because, frankly, maybe it's a little bit of a lighter load. So we don't want to be a place where people just come and train and then go. That's very expensive for us. So we've got to really look at how we're recruiting, but also retaining the best talent. And I think that includes certainly our firefighters, our EMS, as well as our police force.
Got it. I guess one thing to touch on, how do you think we could fix that issue where they're leaving? Is that a money thing, or is that another issue?
Well, I think as I've sat down with them, the firefighters will tell you they're 15 substations short. And so really understanding, again, the need that we have in our community, how well are we resourced and staffed to do that? And look, it always comes down to quality of life. We have to remember that our number one resource is always going to be people, and people have choices. And so we've got to recruit the best talent and retain the best talent. And as the next mayor, I'd be focused on that.
Got it. So maybe it's not always money, maybe it's benefits or things like that, like days off or something. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think there's always a discussion in terms of, how do we remain a competitive place for people to live and work, right? That's a discussion that we, as a city, should continue to have because of, yes, our growing needs, our needs for good talent, and make sure our community's public safety needs are met.
Got it. All right. And then just to summarize a little bit, two things that are very important to you is seniors with public safety.
That's right.
And retaining firefighters.
And police officers.
And police officers.
Right.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the police officer retention or is that good?
I think we're good there. I think you hit the last points.